Hey, this is Bryce Harper, and welcome to the Phillies Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Phillies Show with Ruben Amaro Jr., Jim Salisbury. I'm Todd Zolecki. It is Friday, June 14th, 2024. Father's Day is Sunday, and I will be doing a book signing with The Life of Roy Halladay at Shy Vintage Sports Saturday, 2 to 4, 1518 Paoli Pike in Westchester. Hey, there's the book right there.
Yeah.
There's the book right there. What better way to say I love you to your father than getting him a nice personalized copy of The Life of Roy Halladay? Don't get him a gift card. Come on. You're better than that. Get him a book. Get him a book.
What about the rotation? You got any old rotations?
I do have a few copies of the rotation.
Wait a minute. I might have that somewhere here.
I think the publisher sent most of those to Kindling.
Yeah, no.
They're harder to find. They're a lot harder to find. But I do have, maybe I'll bring a couple copies of that. I have some leftover copies.
Hey, that was quite the rotation, guys.
That was, I mean, it was
poo-poo.
No. It's so I will be signing copies. Great Father's Day gift. Phillies come back from London, guys. 6-game road trip. Good challenge. Red Sox, Orioles. They lose 2 out of 3 in Boston. They do something uncharacteristic. Christopher Sanchez and Aaron Nola both struggle back-to-back starts. I think it's the first time they've allowed 8 or more runs in consecutive games since the first 2 games of the season when they got clobbered by the Braves. Is this, just coming back from London, just a couple bad starts? What do you guys think?
What do you think, Ruben?
Well, I think it's a combination of things. I think that there's it's one, a little bit of a hangover from the London thing, I would think. It was uncharacteristic in that, it was a couple of different things. So Sanchez was really struggling with his command. Yeah. And that was something that he's rectified amazingly over the last year and a half or year now, and has become, a very viable starting pitcher. Could not throw strikes, just couldn't throw consistent strikes. And it was obvious that he just was not on top of his game, and the Red Sox took advantage of it. The defense, they didn't play good defense. There was a couple of different things going on in that game. In the second game, the back-to-back loss when Aaron Nola gave it up. Aaron Nola just didn't have his stuff. He left a lot of pitches in the middle of the plate. The breaking ball was rolling. It was not sharp. His fastball command was not very good. I think he said it himself. He needed it. He just didn't have it in it. He's got to flush this one and move forward. But that happens from time to time. Now I've always talked to trainers. Jeff Cooper, who was a great trainer for years and years and years. He talks about this all the time, that there is a period of time in the season when, pitchers have that dead arm period. I'm not sure if this is where those two guys are. Just based on what I saw as far as their overall stuff, there may be that they may be sliding into that period. And I think every pitcher gets into that period where they're just not really sharp with their stuff. And then they bounce back from it. And I think, hopefully that's exactly what that was. Now, the one other question I have was, well, is it because JT's not, behind the plate manning things? And so that's a question too. We'll see over the next several weeks. We'll find out. But obviously, neither one of those pitchers were sharp, and it cost them. And it's something that typically doesn't happen to the Phillies, but they're going to have to turn it around against a really tough Baltimore team. Jim?
As far as a London hangover, I guess, but I just think these are the ebbs and flows of a season, because they did come back from London and win the first game in Fenway Park behind a very good start from Zach Wheeler and some timely hitting. The next 2 nights, we talk about it all the time. Everything starts with starting pitching. It is the basis of your team, the foundation of your team. It is the foundation of that night's 9-inning ball game. And they didn't have it those 2 nights. I agree with you on Nola, just over the plate way too much. Now, he's a guy, he's not going to blow you away. He needs to pitch. And when he's over the plate, traditionally he gets hit. And he's the guy I wonder if the long layoff really hurt his location.
8
And was
days.
the reason
8 days from his last start. Yeah.
How many? 8?
8 days.
Yeah.
8 days between
he's
starts.
a guy who typically benefits from an extra day, but nobody benefits from 4 extra days. I mean, these guys need to be in their routine, need to stay sharp. So I just look at it as, and their offense has tailed off a bit, but so when two aspects of your game slip away, offense kind of drifts a little bit downward, and you don't have that foundation of that night's game, starting pitching, you're going to take it on the chin. And I think that's what happened the last 2 nights in Boston. I'm not alarmed. I'm not panicking. It's a long season. You're going to have bad stretches, and good teams navigate those bad stretches and focus on the next night. Like golf, Ruben, focus on the next shot.
That's right. That's right.
The Phillies. So you talk about like a bad stretch. This is, I guess you could say, a bad stretch for the Phillies, which they were 37-14 on May 23rd. They're 9-8 in their last 17 games. You know, so I guess that's a bad stretch for these Phillies because they were playing at such an insane pace. But to put that into perspective, the Dodgers in the same stretch since May 23rd, they're 9-9. The Braves are 7-12. The Padres are 10-9. Only one other really over 500 team. There's only 5 teams over 500 in the National League right now. The Brewers are 12-7 in that stretch. So Phillies are kind of going through a little bit. Alec Boehm's really cooled off. Really cooled off in that stretch. Last in that stretch, he's batting 175, the 17-game stretch, 175 with a 490 OPS. Bryson Stott's really struggled, batting 186, 487 OPS. So they've had some guys that really, and I think Boehm, we've talked so much about how great he's been, just automatic with runners in scoring position. So I think you're seeing a little bit of that effect with him when he cools down. That's a big run producer. You don't want to have cool down too much. So they go through it. And
they're kind of feeling for it in the cleanup hole now as a result. They're kind of looking for some consistent production there in an important spot in the lineup. And even Sosa, who we all respect the job he's done in place of Trea Turner, really has done a great job. He's kind of cooled off the last 8, 9, 10 games. So, and you mentioned Stott and Boehm, you know, the cooling off of a small core there, combined with, you know, a couple losses, especially the Trea Turner loss, has, you know, taken its toll. I think that's why, you know, in terms of production in the lineup and even emotionally, I think this team is so ready for Trea Turner to come back.
Yeah, so a couple of things for me as far as Boehm is concerned. You know, it does affect. That was a big concern about coming into the season. You know, who's going to protect Bryce Harper? And so that's important that he bounces back and starts swinging the bat the way he can, just because of the fact that, you know, that there's a domino effect that's associated with him not producing. One, they can pitch around Harper because he's always dangerous, and then, you know, not have to worry about, you know, getting burnt behind him. That said, you know, you got some juggling going on. You got Castellanos in the 2-hole. You got other guys in the 2-hole. You really, at some point, you know, the long-term effect of not having Turner and Marsh in the lineup, that starts to take its toll. Ed, you talked about Edmundo Sosa. Yes, you can expect him to do like solid things. He's been outstanding defensively. He's been very, very solid on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, he's, you know, he would be an everyday shortstop in the major leagues if he was as good offensively as he had been for that first, you know, few weeks when Trea was down. That said, I mean, he's really more suited for a backup role. And, you know, as you said, I think that Turner is important for him to get back, and he will be back probably with this weekend. And it looks like Marsh, after seeing him go get 3 knocks in his very first rehab assignment, you would think that he'd be ready. I think he's going to play on Friday night in the outfield, 8 or 9 innings, probably center field. A lot of it will be very interesting to see whether or not he comes back and plays center field, whether they send Rojas back to AAA, just because Rojas has been okay. He's getting a knock here and there. He's not really driving the ball. So nothing but singles. And he's been fine in the outfield, but not spectacular. I thought he would be even more spectacular, and he's been okay. He's been fine defensively. But the question is whether or not when they bring Marsh back, if in fact they make the move to send Johan Rojas back to the minor leagues. And I think that's a possibility. Now, they got to make sure that Marsh is healthy 100% and kind of go from there. But, they can mix and match with Pache out there if they feel like that's the move to make. And it's a possibility.
I was going to ask you if you saw any significance to Marsh being slated to play center field on Friday night. To me, it seems significant.
It does, right? There's no mistake in that.
No doubt about it. And he's a good center fielder. He's not great. He's an average center fielder. It's just a matter of whether or not they feel like they can go with that sort of defense combination of Pache and Marsh and feel comfortable with that with other guys out there like Dahl in left, Merrifield in left, whoever gets an opportunity out there. And so we'll see how that rolls. Mm-hmm. But I would think my thought process would be that Johan Rojas might get sent back down to AAA and work on some things offensively and see where it goes from there.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Jim, you mentioned Sosa, last 10 games batting 194, 550, 542 OPS. Trea Turner would be great to have him back. Look, yeah, it sounds like maybe this weekend, guys, that he might come back. I guess he ran close to 100% yesterday in Boston. They want to have him run from first to home and do some start stops and whatever, but he is not going on a rehab assignment. So the possibility exists that he will be back this weekend. And yeah, that is interesting. If Marsh comes back and they do option Rojas, David Dahl's shown well in a limited amount of time, and I guess you don't want to lose him. So that's an interesting option.
Yeah, and he doesn't have any options, and they can't send him out. So that makes it even more a situation. Neither he nor Pache can be sent out, and those are two assets they probably want to hold on to, and allow Johan Rojas to continue to grow.
Interestingly enough, Dahl. He had an out in his contract. I think it was earlier this month or late last month, and nobody was interested in him. So he stayed in AAA Lehigh Valley. But now he comes up and he plays well, and somebody would claim him at this point, right? So yeah, you would probably lose him.
I mean, you say he's an asset you want to hold on to. I would even suggest he's an asset I want to see play more.
Yeah, right. Exactly. All right. So we got some listener questions, and we're going to talk about this Baltimore series. So we have some fun listener questions. First one comes from our buddy, Graham Foley, friend of the pod, has done a great job for us. He wants to know who between the three of you would win a hot dog eating contest.
Oh, and I know the answer to that.
Well, I will answer that question with a question. Who here in this room has ever won a hamburger eating contest, an 8-patty cheeseburger contest at Citizens Bank Park? Not I.
It was Jim. Me, and it was actually 9 patties. Get it straight.
You can eat a burger, but can you eat a dog?
You
can eat a burger. Can you crush a dog?
I used to be able to crush dog. I love a good dog with. I like them with. I like them with cheese. I melt the cheese on the bun.
Too.
And I go ketchup, mustard, onion, pickle, and my secret weapon is celery salt on a hot dog.
Celery salt? Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of a Rhode Island thing where I grew up.
You're making my mouth water a little bit. Can you fire that up for us one of these days? Don't be afraid to invite us down to Westchester or wherever the hell you live, and let's go.
You got to toast the bun a little bit on the grill so that cheese gets a little melty. But celery salt on a hot dog. It's big where I grew up. We used to have these little stubby hot dogs called hot wieners up in Rhode Island where I grew up. They're like 4-inch hot dogs.
That's a whole different podcast. That's a whole different podcast.
Jim, do you remember the 9 cheeseburger thing? It was our another friend of the show, John Gonzalez. He was working. This was a segment he was doing. He was working at NBC Philly. It was me, you, John, I think Ryan Lawrence, who was at the Daily News at the time. We sat down and we tried to crush this monstrosity of a cheeseburger. And goddamn, you finished that whole thing, I think.
And yeah, it was delicious too. It was a Jake's Way Back burger.
That's what it was.
It was a nice loose pack. I like a nice loose pack on my burger.
I think
you are a burger connoisseur. What is it, Jim? What has been your favorite burger of all time?
Too many to name. I love a good In-N-Out burger.
I was going to say, are you an In-N-Out guy? Because I am.
Man. Yeah.
I mean, they're spectacular.
Yeah, there was a stage in my life where I was trying to go. It was like, you know, how people visit different ballparks. I tried to visit different In-N-Out burgers when we were out west.
One In-N-Out from the next is so different from the one another.
I remember we were in LA once, and I planned my whole day around visiting the original In-N-Out burger. Now it had been torn down and rebuilt, but on that spot, and on your receipt it says store number 1. And so I went there. It was over in.
Did you frame it? I was
going to say, did you frame it?
No, but it's in a place called Baldwin Park, right down the street from where Michael Young went to high school. Remember Michael Young?
Yeah, of course I do. Yeah,
it's a good baseball high school. I forgot the name of it, but I love I love all burgers. So you know.
That's good. That's good. All right.
So it's clear that Jim would be
the guy. Jim would crush the hot dog.
He would be the guy.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
All right. This is from Xander via X or Twitter. This is an interesting question. If you could pick one player from the 2008 Phillies to be on this current team, who would it be? And let's not do a cop out here and say I would take Chase Utley. I would take Jimmy Rollins. Let's say you could take one of those players and fill a need on this roster. Who would you pick from the 2008 Phillies to help out this current roster? Obviously, you could take Chase Utley or Jimmy Rollins, but you don't need to have a need for those guys necessarily.
You know,
who are you taking?
You could benefit from any one of those guys. I think that Cole Hamels might look pretty good. I mean, if Brad Lidge is going to go 48 for 48, I might take him.
Correct.
I might take Jason Worth and put him in the behind the big left-handed Bryce Harper. I mean, that might be nice.
Be tremendous, yeah.
There's a lot of ways you could go.
Pick one, Jim. Pick one.
Pick one. Come on.
You
have to pick one.
Brad Lidge.
Ooh,
yeah. You stole mine because if you're going to get the 48 out of 48 Brad Lidge, I absolutely would have picked that. Then I'll go Cole Hamels.
Yeah. Okay. I was going to take Jason Worth. I like Jason Worth. I might even throw him in center field a little bit. He could run down some balls.
No doubt.
Put him right behind Harper. I'd take Jason Worth.
That's a good call. Great call.
Good question.
That's a great question. I love that. Dig it.
Yeah, that was from Matt Wrigley. What are your favorite ballparks to travel to? Least favorite?
So I love San Francisco. Love Oracle Park.
That's my favorite.
It's a great one. It's a beautiful ballpark. And now I got a chance, T-Mac and I got a chance to see right behind the right center field scoreboard, right? There's a speakeasy. I can't, off the top of my head, I can't remember the name. It was a restaurant speakeasy that sneaks back there. And we went there. I went there twice. That place is fantastic.
Cocktails before the game or what?
No, post game. Although that would probably be good for me to have cocktails during the game or before the game, like Harry Carey.
Harry Carey did it.
But I will say that that ballpark's the best. The other one and number 2 for me is PNC. I mean, obviously that's a travel. I love CBP, but if we're going to go travel, I'll go Oracle Park, PNC, 1-2.
Almost any NL park for me other than Chase Field, like those 4, Coors Field, Petco Park. I love Dodger Stadium and Oracle Park for me. I love the NL West trips. Those are the best.
Yeah,
those are the best.
I love that San Diego. I love Dodger Stadium, the blue. I always love the PA announcer in Dodger Stadium.
Awesome.
And the way that the organist just knows when to play. And then on a clear day, you got the mountains in the background.
Yep.
And I love the way it's built into the side of that mountain at the bottom of a canyon. So you can drive your car up to level 9, park, walk in at the top of the ballpark, and you look way down in the press box. You have to go down to the press box. San Diego, I think, is I love the location. I love San Francisco, where that press box is. So the press box in San Francisco is very low. It's in the lower bowl, and you can actually see the pitches move. You could chart pitches for if you were a scout from that press box quite easily. And the reason the press box is so low is they wanted to put the luxury suites up high so the fans in the luxury suites could see across San Francisco Bay. So the scribes benefited from that with a really great vantage point in their press box. But yeah, those are all great. I mean, PNC is so picturesque with that Roberto Clemente Bridge and one of the most underrated skylines in America in Pittsburgh with the U.S. Steel building in right field. So a lot of great ones. I would say all of those. We kind of agree.
Yeah. Ant Pirandazzi asks, what do you guys think the Phillies game plan will be at the deadline? And do you think it will be similar to 2022 or this year they'll go for a, quote, star-like player?
I think
too early.
Yeah,
right?
I think they're still evaluating. I think there's always a possibility they go star player. I mean, they probably have a roadmap toward that with some names, and they probably have a roadmap toward a bunch of marginal names, and then it'll come down to what they really think they need. I still think they can solve some of their outfield or have the potential to solve some of their outfield problems or outfield shortage offensively from within. I think they're going to give that a good look. I still kind of like the idea of a big bullpen arm. I guess that's why I was saying Brad Lidge earlier.
Brad Lidge, yeah.
I'm all about the bullpen and trying to add to it. At some point, guys are going to fizzle a little bit. They're going to not be able to be as effective, and you want to have as deep a bullpen as you possibly can. I do like the way those guys are throwing the ball in the back end. Obviously, Strom, Kerkering, when you start naming the big four, Strom, Kerkering, Hoffman, and Alvarado, really good. But if you can make it better, I would certainly lean that way, because if you want to win a baseball game in the playoffs, you got to win it. Sometimes you got to win it deep, and you got to win it with quality. So I would think about that. I'm not as concerned about the offense because I think we're going to get folks back. I mean, we're missing 3 key pieces right now.
Right. This one's for Ruben. This is from Jeff. From Ruben's standpoint as a GM, how early do clubs start making calls before the trade deadline? Is it ever as early as a few weeks after the season starts if a desperate need arises? So give us some perspective, Ruben. Like, what are the conversations like right now on June 14th?
And we talk about ebbs and flows all the time. It's sort of how it works as a GM. I mean, I think I always try to assess my team. Back then, after about 5 weeks, sometime in mid-May is usually when I started to assess, okay, what do I have and what do I need? And I have a pretty good idea. I think it's backed up a little bit. Now you're into June, early June to mid-June now when you're assessing, just because your players don't play a lot in spring training anymore. So you don't really know where you are. And it's a different scenario as far as, making the playoffs. Like, where are we in the whole scheme of things? Like, what teams can we target? Right now, there's so much parity in the game that you just don't. I mean, you want to take a good widespread look at what's going on. And Mike Ondo will do a great job, who's the pro scouting director. He'll do a great job of trying to talk with Sam Fold and Dave Dombrowski to, okay, what are our needs? Where do we need to concentrate on? And he'll start probably more aggressively around this time getting ready, whether it's a bullpen piece or an outfield piece, or again, teams may wait all the way up until the deadline to really decide, okay, are we in or are we out? And so that's the big challenge right now, is how do we manage through that? And I'm sure Dave Dombrowski's on top of it. And I will tell you this, Dave Dombrowski's got this old school mentality that he does feel like, hey, I got to show this team, not necessarily just to make a move, but I got to show this team that we're in too. And I think that there is, that thought process. I believed in it, that you got to add something to this ball club to show the people in the clubhouse that we are in on it as much as you guys are in on it. And that, put my money where my mouth is to try to make a move. So that's the other thing I want to say, Gotham, it's called the Gotham City or Gotham Club. The Gotham Club is the name of the place in San Francisco.
In San Francisco. Well, Ruben, you talked about sending a message to the team. I will never, ever, ever forget being in Arizona in 2009, July of 2009, the trade deadline, the Phillies just trade for Cliff Lay, and you walk into the clubhouse and literally Shane Victorino stands up and is applauding, and you got a round of applause from the players in that clubhouse because they were so jacked up that you got the Cy Young winner, Cliff Lee. So that stuff is very real. Getting guys pumped up in that clubhouse, sending a message like, let's go, boys. It's time to win. Here, this is what I did for you. Here you go. You wanted something, I got it for you. So that's a very real thing. That was a cool moment. I
appreciate you. Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up because that gives me goosebumps even to this day. So I always believed in that, the importance of that. I've been in clubhouses where there were no moves made. I've been in clubhouses where there were moves made, and I know that it's a real thing. And totally. The fact that that those players acknowledge that meant a lot to me. It makes me emotional sometimes because that's why I did my job. I wanted to do my job to bring not just, quality to the clubhouse, but quality to the fans and a chance to really win. And that was a cool moment for me.
Ruben, let me ask you a quick just follow up. And I agree, Dave Dombrowski is going to do something. I mean,
right?
If you can inch it along, you're a good team, and you can improve by an inch. You do it. I agree with the message sending is in terms of we're behind you 100%, and what that can do for a clubhouse, like the Cliff Lee thing.
Right.
Could part of the message sending also be, hey, we're 7 games over 500. We're cruising. We're doing really good here, but we haven't accomplished crap yet. Is there part of that too?
Oh, also, no question about it. And I think, and the people that you target are important, right? Because you want to have somebody that's sort of going to fit in the clubhouse. You want the piece that's going to fit on the team, but you also want to fit, you sort of try to target guys. I felt it was important to target guys who have been there and done it. Like if you get a bullpen guy who's never really pitched in the playoffs or in the tight or been in that situation, he may be able to respond to that, but you just don't know whether he's going to be able to respond to that. And so I believed in trying to get somebody who's been there, done it, and had the success in that role, in that situation. One of the reasons why we ended up, signing Papelbon, because he had done it. But even in those situations, when you're adding pieces, hey, if it's a guy who's pitched in, Kansas City, for instance, and never been there and never done it and hasn't had to pitch for a World Series championship or a pennant in the National League or American League, makes it, you gotta sort of assess and really get into that guy's soul and find out if this guy is really prepared to do this.
Or a guy that's never been booed after he blows a 3-run lead in the 8th inning. He gets a crap boot out of him walking off the field.
Correct.
How's he going to bounce back from that? So Phillies open this is going to be a fun series, I think, this weekend. 3-game series beginning tonight. Phillies Orioles, potential World Series matchup. I mean, potentially, two great teams. Orioles are red hot right now. And look at these pitching matchups. Great pitching matchups. Tonight, Friday night, Ranger Suarez versus Kyle Bradish, who's 2-0 with a 2.62 ERA. Saturday, Taijuan Walker versus Grayson Rodriguez, 7-2 with a 3.27. Sunday, Zach Wheeler versus Corbin Burns, 7-2 with a 2.08 ERA. Paul Casella, who's has been covering the Phillies for MLB.com, had an interesting little note. This is the first time ever at Camden Yards the Phillies and Orioles have both had winning records at the same time. Now, interleague play, they don't play every year. Teams go through hot stretches and cold stretches, but this is the first time two winning teams are, Phillies Orioles are playing at Camden Yards. All 3 games are sold out.
Yeah.
It is going to be fun. The Orioles are such a fun young team. Phillies are a fun team. It's going to be fun.
The sellouts are very notable to me because Phillies fans travel so well.
Yep.
I'm interested to see the Phillies fans' impact. I'm sure it'll be huge. The Orioles do have that great young team and that shortstop. I mean, what a player.
Gunnar Henderson.
Wow.
But the Orioles are in the middle of the pack in the American League in attendance, averaging 26,000 per night.
That surprises me.
It
As good as
surprises me
they've
too. I
been.
look at their attendance all the time, and they have had a lot of lean years, and those fans have had to tolerate a lot. But they got a great young team. They got a new ownership group. Things are really looking up. They have a gorgeous ballpark, and they're not banging that place out every night. I'm sure they're going to love, the Orioles management's going to love banging out and having 3 sellouts, even though a lot of people are going to be wearing red. But I think it'll be a lot of fun and a special series. And, everybody says the Phillies haven't played anybody. Well, they're going to play somebody this weekend.
Right. They are really going to play somebody.
And I think the fact that they might have Marsh, I think it'd be great to have Marsh and Turner back. If they can get them back during this weekend series, it'd be a little bit better armed. When you're missing 3 of your big boys, it makes it a little bit more difficult. But the matchups are tremendous as far as the pitching, as you said, Todd. I am really looking forward to the Wheeler Burns one. And It's sort of like, I know Wheels. I know that he's still upset about not winning that Cy Young and lost it to Burns. And I think it's Wheeler's going to be amped up for that one because he's going to want to show the world that he is the best right-hander in baseball.
Listen, I had the Cy Young vote that year, and I voted for Zach Wheeler, and not because he plays for the Phillies, because he threw like 40 more innings than Corbin Burns
No
that
doubt.
year.
No, it's a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer.
It's wild that people did not look at the innings pitched.
And Zach was outspoken. Zach was outspoken the following spring, saying he thought he should have won it. He didn't. He didn't mix any words.
Yeah, no, it was absolutely. So I think, Ruben, that is going to be a lot of fun on Sunday. But the whole series is going to be fun. Camden Yards is such a great place. We didn't mention that is a great ballpark to go to, but that's a great ballpark to go to.
It was one of the very, very first retro ballparks, and it's still the best retro ballpark, I think, especially in American League. It's just phenomenal. Jim, did you write something about that?
About what?
About the Camden Yards, or did you? Did one of you guys write about the Camden?
No. But you're right. It is the ballpark that inspired the retro movement. I mean, the famous story about Bill Giles. It opened in '92. Bill Giles took a ride down, and immediately fell in love, and came back and started telling people we need one of these. And eventually took a long time, but they got one.
And you get to see the Oriole Bird, Jim.
The Oriole. So one of my favorite. I've had spent a lot of time in Camden Yards covering the Yankees and covering the Phillies. And my favorite story, so covering the 1997 Phillies, which was a very bad team. They tied for the worst record in the National League with the Cubs. And they were going through the rebuild, first year of Terry Francona. And they went in June of 1997, they went 4-22. It was awful. And that was part of a bigger 4-26 stretch. And in that 4-26 stretch, early July, that 1997 team gets swept in Camden Yards. And they finish that series with a Wednesday day game. And they take a lead in that game. They need a win badly. They take a lead in that game in the 6th inning on a home run, a solo home run in the 6th inning off of Scott Kamenicki by...
That would be me.
Rubio Amaro. Gives them a lead. Gives them a lead. So they give them a lead.
I didn't have very many home runs. I can remember the ones I hit.
So they need a win. The clubhouse is a funeral parlor every night. They're losing night after night after night. They're about to get swept by a 97 win or a 98 win Oriole team that actually won the AL East over the Yankees that year. They take the lead in the top of the 6th on a home run by Ruben, and looking like they're going to get that win. And then Jerry Spradlin gives it up in the bottom of the 6th. The Phillies get swept. And after the game, the Oriole Bird is in front of the Phillies dugout waving the mascot is waving the flag. And he's waving the flag, and I think he's got a broom as well, something like that. I think he might have had a broom, actually. And Phillies go in their clubhouse, and we're waiting outside for 5 or 10 minutes for them to cool off to go in, and John Vukovich comes flying out of the clubhouse. And he is rip-roaring mad. And he wants a piece of the bird who was, doing the broom in front of the Phillies dugout. And he finds the Bird's dressing room And he goes in, and there's a kid sitting there. And he says, "Where's that bleeping bird?" And the kid sees fire in Vukovich's eyes. And the kid thinks quick on his feet and says, "Oh, he just left. He's down the runway there. He just left." Well, that was actually the bird. He was getting undressed, but he thought quick because he saw Vukovich so angry. And Vukovich may have known deep down inside that was the kid. And Vukovich looks him in the eye and says, "You tell that bird he ever waves that broom in front of our dugout again, I'm going to pluck every feather out of his body."
Vuk was beautiful, man.
greatest.
God, that is fantastic.
That was your moment, Ruben. That was your moment. I was going to write the whole story about you. You could have clipped it and put it on your wall.
It could have been the wall right behind you.
That was not a good year for yours truly, but that was a big base hit, and Kamenicki was having a pretty good year, and I think it was a little slider or something that he hung up there. I hit it to right center field, shot him, but
got him.
Didn't happen very often.
Oh,
that's
man,
great. You remembered that.
Oh, yeah, that's so funny. All right, guys, that was a lot of fun. So, quick reminder: I'm going to be signing copies of Doc the Left of Roy Halladay, maybe some rotation as well. Saturday, 2 to 4 at Shive Vintage Sports in Westchester. Father's Day is Sunday. Don't blow it. Get your dad a nice gift. How about a nice personalized message from me? Wouldn't that be sweet? Wouldn't that be sweet? So we'll be back on
to everybody.
Yeah, happy Father's Day to you guys for sure.
Happy Father's Day, and of course, we will smell you guys later.
Smell you guys later. See ya. Bye.
This is The Phillies Show. If you haven't already, please subscribe to The Phillies Show wherever you get your podcasts. You can also watch us on our YouTube channel. If you like what we do, give us a review. Tell a friend. Catch Ruben, Jim, and me on Phillies Nation TV, presented by Valley Forge Tourism. New episodes air an hour before every Saturday Phillies game on NBC Sports Philadelphia. Replays air throughout the week and on PhilliesNation.com. Get more of Ruben's analysis during, before, and after Phillies games on NBC Sports Philadelphia, on the Sports Radio 94 WIP Morning Show, and MLB Network. Read Jim at the All City Network at allphly.com. Find more of me at MLB.com, the Phillies Beat newsletter, and occasionally on MLB Network.